Today I want to talk about the M250. It recently just got quote unquote nerfed by DICE in the most recent patch, but to be honest with you guys, they really didn't do anything. It's just not as accurate when it comes to 70 meters. You can easily still beam targets 70 meters plus. And in this video, I'm basically just going to highlight a bunch of key points and a lot of things to look out for when using the M250, what it's good at, what it's kind of bad at, and why I'm telling you guys to like literally stop using other guns and just use this, because you kind of need to. And I would use it before they nerf it again, because it's definitely going to get hit a lot harder next time. There is one other gun in the game that acts pretty similar to this, and that is the M123K as an LMG. The M123K has a problem though, and that's bloom past 50 meters. You can laser beam every target in the range and every body in a game up until about 35 to 40 meters. After that point, you start entering an excessive amount of bloom. You guys are going to see it also on screen while I'm talking about this, but you're going to see an excessive amount of bloom with the M123K past a specific point. And that's when that gun starts to fall off. One thing that the M123K has over the M250 is a bigger magazine. It comes with 100 rounds stock. It also has a longer reload time and slower muzzle velocity. I would choose the M250 over this, and I would definitely like sit here and really take the time to understand the gun because of how good it actually is. From day one of using this, I got this gun level 50 a month ago, and from day one till now, it is probably my go-to LMG outside of obviously the DRS and the M240L. It's just simply for the fact that I don't need to burst fire this at all. In this video, you guys are going to see me shoot people across Empire State like it is nothing. There's hardly any bloom, even though they added some more bloom. There's hardly any recoil, even though they added some recoil. And like I said earlier, the only downside to this gun is its magazine size. That's the only thing keeping it away from true LMG players, is that fact. But I actually think this is a pretty good beginner-friendly gun for LMG players if you're trying to get into the game or trying to get into playing support, because it's a very good introduction to how an LMG should feel, but it's also extremely good and very easy to use because it has a faster reload time. It has a lower mag, which means you're going to have a better ADS time than some other LMGs. Also, depending on which grip you use, you will have an even better ADS time than other ones. I like to use the 6H64 vertical grip because it helps me with my recoil the most. And I personally don't mind a slower ADS speed because I can take that into account when fighting. So I know that I need to aim in a lot earlier. But if you're someone that can't and won't take that into account, a full angled or a slim angled grip is just as fine. And that also increases your ADS speed by almost 100 milliseconds. So that in itself is really good, but you also drop from 33 precision or 32%. You also drop from 32 precision all the way down to 29, and you lose a little bit of control. I recommend the 6H64 vertical, and then I also recommend obviously the light and suppressor. The light and suppressor is the best suppressor in the game, and my go-to on every single gun for a barrel is the heavy extended barrel, just because it allows you to shoot so much longer without getting any bloom added to the firing, that it is just, there's no point to use any other barrel if you don't want to tap fire, because obviously tap firing, we all know, lowers your TTK, because not only do you have to shoot slower and think about when you're going to shoot, but you have to pay attention to your visual recoil and your actual weapon recoil when you start to tap fire. A great thing about the M250 is you never have to tap fire as long as you have a good suppressor and a good vertical grip. I also like to run thermals. You guys, I'm a thermal rat when it comes to LMGs. If you're not using a thermal, especially on the new Empire State map, you're not doing it right. You gotta use the thermal. It also is a perfect fit for the M250 because you don't actually miss out on any attachments when using the thermal. Everything fits on this gun perfectly, and nothing's overkill. Literally nothing that you put on is overkill. It's almost the perfect setup. You could add in the 50 MW blue laser over the thermal, but personally for me, I'd rather have the thermal and forfeit a lot of ADS. I'd rather have the bigger ADS penalty and have the thermal than not, because half the time with the thermal, I'm just going to be stuck in a corner shooting straight down all the way down at other people. But at the same time, I can get the sentiment for wanting to be able to strafe back and forth 100 meters plus so you don't get sniped. That's also another thing you could do just by putting on a long suppressor instead of the lightened suppressor and a red dot sight. You can then put on the 50 MW blue, which is another good build too that I would recommend. The only problem with that, you end up losing a little bit of recoil control, which I've noticed, but in the closer ranges, it's a lot easier to actually fight people. So it's honestly up to how you like to play. But the M250 is very good at playing at every range. I've yet to have a problem fighting close, medium range, and far range. And obviously its best is its far range because it's a 4-shot kill up until like 80 meters or I think it's like up until 75 meters you get the ability to 4-shot kill. And it's probably the fastest killing weapon that far away aside from the M277. But because this gun has a 50 round belt fed magazine, it's not even a magazine, it's a belt fed box mag. It's that good, it's that viable. And especially if you are a new player and new to LMGs, it should be your go-to, because a lot of the other LMGs in this game, like the M60, the RPK, the M240L, the KTS, they are very, very catered to more veteran players and to very specific play styles. The M60 is for someone that hates themselves but also loves fighting close medium range with a gun that can barely ADS fast enough to actually fight people. The KTS is for someone that just doesn't want to put on a sniper or the AK-205 and said, hey, I want to play support and throw down my own medic bags so that I can keep myself alive and fight people at least 200 meters plus for no reason whatsoever. And I hate recoil. I basically want to pretend that I have a Cronus while I play the game. That's a KTS user. Not a very useful or seen player on the battlefield at all. And then you come to the M240L. This is a gun for someone that wants to be able to do it all. Someone that wants to fight close when they can, someone that wants to fight in the medium range all the time, and someone that really doesn't give a shit about fighting in the farther ranges and thinks they can handle it. That's what an M240L player is. And then the M123K is basically the M250 with more bloom and a lot more ROF with a 100 round magazine. So if you like suppressing fire, the M123K is your thing. Basically, I'm saying if you like to miss a lot, use the M123K and try to play it like the M250, you'll miss more. And then you come back to the M250. That gun, there's really nothing like it, personally. It stands on its own, and it's completely unique and different compared to the rest. The L110 is also a very good beginner-friendly / just true LMG in the game. If you wanted a true LMG that can kind of do it all, that's the L110. But currently, because the M250 is in the middle of being nerfed, and they kind of didn't do that great of a job with it, the M250 is basically your best all-arounder in the LMG class. Prior to everyone unlocking it and figuring it out that it is that good, or if you haven't figured it out yet and this is the way you're figuring it out, the M250 is hands down the best all-around LMG in the game, without a doubt. Obviously, there's also the DRS, but that thing is like god tier in comparison to everything, and it's really not an LMG, so like it's out of the discussion. You're basically just picking support to play an AR. Kind of irrelevant, but you can play it like an LMG. It's just not worth it. And that's why the M250 stands out to me and a lot of other players, because it truly is one of a kind in the class, because it feels like an LMG, but plays like the DRS in a way, where it has hardly any bloom, its time to kill is very fast, its handling is very good, and you can use it at all ranges with no problem and never really fall into this category of, I feel like I lost that gunfight because my gun is just worse. Most of the time, you're going to lose that gunfight because you are just worse. Or the guy shot you in the face with an RPG across the map, because, you know, we love snipers. And a nice thing about the M250 is it has the fastest reload time out of every single LMG that has a belt-fed box magazine. Obviously, the RPK, the DRS, and the KTS are going to reload faster because they just have a regular magazine, but they don't hold as much ammo stock. Now, if you want them to hold more ammo, obviously you have to take the points out to add in the bigger magazines. So the KTS is the easiest one to add a 60 round mag to, which I do that, and I would recommend it if you're going to use that gun, but I also just don't recommend using that gun. It has the same ROF as the AK-4D. So technically, yes, it is the slowest ROF in the game next to the AK-4D. The only thing is the KTS does less damage than the AK-4D, therefore. The M250 is also the best looking LMG when it comes to the mastery camo, in my opinion, because it has the frame that just kind of makes it look a little futuristic, which I like. So if you like flashy things in Battlefield, which, I mean, you're playing the wrong game if you like flashy things to begin with, but if you want your gun to look nice, it's definitely worth mastering. And I also think that this gun specifically is good on every single map in the game. There's not one map where this gun is weak, and I can name maps where the KTS is really weak. I can name maps where the M123K is weak. I can name maps where the M60 is going to be weak, the RPK, the L110, the M240L, but the M250, you can take this on Liberation Peak and then go right to Siege of Cairo and have a field day with this gun on both maps. You can go into the rocks with the snipers on Liberation Peak and shoot someone 100 meters away like it is nothing with this gun. It is literally set up so good for success. I don't know why they even did it. Sadly, it's not the best LMG in the game, but it's one of the best LMGs in the game. And this 100% rivals other ARs that are near it in damage. It rivals the B36. It rivals the NVO, the L85, the M433, given like its, you know, respective damage ranges and such. The M4A1, the M277, it definitely rivals the M277. They're very close together in my opinion. Obviously the M277 has a higher ROF at 720, but the M250 just, it's more accurate. So the further you are away with that gun, the better off you're gonna be. So always playing in a ratty spot or just on a very far off angle, especially when it comes to playing breakthrough and even like escalation, all you have to do is be 50 meters out and almost nobody will kill you as long as you are playing in a safe position. Which, if you guys want, I do have a video on my channel that it was posted 2 days ago, and it talks about how to play a lot safer and like to not lose gunfights. I'll have that linked in the description. This gun fits that play style along with playing assault and like a bunch of other weapons in the game, but the M250 really fits into playing around cover and in a deeper angle instead of up close or holding down a hallway with an LMG 20 meters away from other people. You're going to benefit so much more using the M250 playing at farther angles, which is kind of nonsense because you'd expect the LMGs to do way better in the close range because of what they're designed for, which is suppressing fire and absolutely just dogging rounds towards people like it's nobody's business. But this gun specifically strives in that environment, and I highly recommend playing a little more defensive even if you're on attack, because it's going to benefit you so much more, especially if you're the guy laying down the fire on top of a point like for breakthrough, and you'll end up being the reason time and time again that your team ends up getting on the point and capturing the sector because you're playing the proper way. Deployable cover, and you basically have your own little sniper tower when it comes to using an LMG, because quite literally this is a sniper. Now, yes, I am leaning heavily into the M250 being very, very similar gun to the KTS right now, and it is because the playstyle is super similar. The only difference is this gun's actually good and it kills at that range a lot faster. The description of this gun describes it extremely well. The M250 is a companion to the M277 with similar ranged overmatch effectiveness, combining suppressing fire with lethal range capabilities. It's a very versatile gun. It's supposed to be a long-ranged weapon and a steady fire rate, which it does all of that perfectly, aside from the fact that it doesn't have the same bloom as the M277. The M250 is just such a strong gun. and it's so worth using. And I don't think enough people are using it, because when I go into games, there's probably like one other guy using it, if that, and it's not even every game. I highly recommend using this gun and kind of pushing to the side all of the other LMGs in the game for a little bit, just to get an idea about what you're missing out on because of how strong this gun actually is. And I would love for you guys to see where I'm coming from by using this gun, because I love this gun. I love the way the gun looks. I love the way the gun feels in the game, and I don't think enough people are actually appreciating it currently. And it's definitely going to get a nerf, because it's currently in its own league with the guns around the idea for it. It's so much better than the KTS. It's very strong compared to the M277, since it's being compared to the M277. And it's way more effective than the RPK, at least in medium to far range. And it's also even better than the M123K. So I recommend checking it out. If you like this video or it helps you make any kind of decision in any way, don't hesitate to leave a like. I need it. We all need it. Thank you very much. Goodbye.